Welcome to the American Grown Podcast, hosted by Austin Sullivan. The American Grown Podcast will focus on people from different walks of life and their journey to where they are now. Now, turn up your volume and settle in for a great episode.
Hi, I'm Austin Sullivan, and I'm your host for the American Grown Podcast, recorded inside the Colortech Creative Solutions studios. Today, we have Sadie Eisenhour from Sweet Sadie's Custom Cakes. She is known for making Lebanon a little sweeter with her mouth-watering custom creations. Sadie, welcome to episode 3 of the American Grown Podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you could join me this evening. I thought maybe for the podcast you might bring your trusty sidekick Ribeye along.
Oh my gosh, I wish you gave me a heads up. He would have been here. He's a great partner in crime. It's my little guy. Rescued him. That's my pup, Ribeye. Rescued him. He's a cowboy. He came from Texas. Adopted him about a year or so ago on Valentine's Day. I got to bring him home. So he was found as a stray in Texas, and yeah, he's been the best thing that's happened to me. So that's my boy.
So what's he probably doing right now at home?
Oh, he's sleeping.
Is he okay?
Or looking out the window, barking at cats.
Yeah.
Walk by, you know.
Are those his arch enemy cats?
They really are.
Nice.
Today we saw ducks on our walk, so that was interesting, you know.
Okay.
He really wanted some of that, but
yeah.
Otherwise he's a good boy.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know Courtney and I had stopped over to pick up one of your cakes for our wedding anniversary, and we got to meet Ribeye, and I really liked his spotting and his coat.
Yep.
You know, and he was great. He was a good boy. So let's kind of go back, Sadie, to your early childhood and your early life growing up. So this is middle school, high school. What were you into? What did you do back then?
Yeah, back then, to be honest, I was really big into sports, so that was pretty much what I did on any of my free time. I was also very family oriented, so big family person. But yeah, in school was just kind of school for me, just kind of going through the motions. Can't say I hated school, but never really had a subject I was super into. So sports was really my main focus. I did basketball, softball, field hockey, and summer leagues, all that fun stuff. And pretty much though was outside all the time. Aside from that, summertime, any free time we had, we were just running around town in Lebanon at the park, 6th Street Playground, which I'm super excited to see that they just redid the basketball courts.
Nice.
So, just running around, being a kid, super fun, family time, and sports. That was pretty much my life.
So what was that like being a 3-sport athlete? And was there pressure or support from your family, friends, parents to go after sports? How was that?
It was a little bit of both. The pressure never felt like too overwhelming for me. I think just because I just enjoyed it so much and really loved the people I was around playing with on and off the court. I think the pressure I felt more than when it got into high school level and, you had to still keep up with your schoolwork, it comes a little bit more. And then you got to start to think about, okay, what are you going to do after high school? And when sports is the only thing, you're really focused on.
Right.
Okay, well, is that what I'm going to do? So that's where it got a little weird for me. I started to think ahead and realized, okay, maybe I'm not going to be in the WNBA. So what am I going to do? So I did have a lot of support from my family always, just even, still in school, coming to my games, cheering me on. Again, just the support as in making sure I was always fed, the car rides, the late night pickups and all that. It's a lot. So I'm very grateful for my family and friends and my friends' parents. They would make us dinner, switch it up and before games, away games, whatever. So it was a great support system all around.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. It's nice when you have that support system and that backing. And to kind of go back to where you just mentioned, you're not going to play in the women's NBA.
Yeah. So it's like, now what?
Correct. Exactly. Now what?
Then the pressure really, I think, becomes a little bit more heavier than just in middle school ball or ninth grade even.
You know, I went through a similar thing. I went to Kutztown. I was graduated from Cedar Crest High School, did track and field. I was a thrower. For those that know me, I'm not a hurdler or long jumper or anything like that. I went there for throwing first year. Not a big partier for those that really know me. I'm really not. But the grades weren't there. And I'm like, man, you know, why am I doing this? Like, I love track and field, but what am I going to get out of it? I'm not going to go to the Olympics, let's be honest, you know. And having Colortech here, which is our family business, a great opportunity. I came back and finished my associate's degree in business at Hack because I'm like, why not, you know, and get right back into business. So I definitely agree there. Now, out of your 3 sports that you played, do you still have friends that you rely on or still hang out with?
I think a lot of us did go, well, I guess that's just life. Everyone, you know, is doing their own thing now. Some of them moved away, but I'm definitely still in contact with a few really good friends growing up. So I'm grateful for that. I have one that lives pretty close by, a few actually. So yeah. And now again, social media is great. Just keeping, you know, up with everyone, even through a screen, is sometimes better than nothing.
Yep.
But yeah, and I have old players, old coaches that now support my business, and that just means the world to me. So yeah, in that aspect, I definitely am in touch with a lot of old players and friends and support system.
Would you say in high school, whether it was, you know, on the court or in school in general, any mentors that really stick out?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, I could say something great about probably all of my coaches I've had. Yeah, I really could. I mean, every sport, I had a different coach, obviously. Some of them actually crossed over. One, I really got to shout out, Jerry Lampkin, who recently passed away, was a basketball coach I've had since Biddy basketball. So, you know, elementary school. He dedicated his life to basketball. And that was definitely my favorite sport out of the 3. So I grew up with him as a coach through elementary, middle school, and high school. Also like traveling team. So he was really like a key component in my life. And I know a lot of Lebanon basketball girls as well. So really grateful for the time that he and his family sacrificed for us, and was always not only just a great basketball coach for us, he was very personable as far as just little tips and tricks and whatnot, like mentally to be tough and how to handle life and situations. One thing I constantly am saying to myself and other people, that one little quote of his, because he had many, was, if you take care of the little things, the big things take care of themselves. Yeah. So that's one thing I always have in the back of my mind.
It's a great motto or mantra to have, because it's so true. It really is. You're through high school, you know, you have your close friends, you have some mentors in your life, your parents and everybody supporting you.
Yeah.
What was life like after high school? How was that?
Well, I guess to kind of just backtrack a little, because I didn't know what I was going to do after high school. Like I mentioned, it was kind of just sports for me. I realized then, okay, to play sports after high school, I need to go to college. Well, I don't really have any subjects, you know, I really in school find myself super interested in keeping my attention. I was not, you know, a classroom desk person. I just couldn't focus. I really liked, in all aspects, working with my hands, just kind of outgoing in that aspect. So, okay, do I just go to a university, waste my money, and hate all of these classes just so I can play basketball and not have any idea what I want to do otherwise? Or, okay, I need to dig deeper. So that's, again, where my support system and my family really helped me kind of figure out what are some options. So super grateful for CTC, the Lebanon County Career and Technology Center. I think it was probably like 11th grade. I looked into that, came across the baking and pastry program, which caught my eye because, well, again, I like working with my hands, and I knew from as a child, I was addicted to sugar, love cake.
Oh, for sure.
Sweets are just my thing. Also, my grandmother and great-grandmother were big influences for me in the kitchen as far as baking. My great-grandmother was a baker. That's just something I always grew up hearing about, and baking simple things with my grandmother was always a nice memory. So I'm like, okay, let's give this a try. So I was able to shadow at CTC, and the pastry chef, Brian Peffley there. Super awesome guy. Made me feel so welcome. The kitchen was immaculate for being a student, you know, run kitchen and restaurant. I was pretty blown away for, you know, the course that they offer there and what that could, do for me. So I gave it a try, and somehow things just clicked, and that's how pretty much this all started. So yeah, I did that my senior year in high school and realized I'm going to continue. So
okay. No, that's a great backstory. And that
Yeah.
you're having luck at CTC, you're into baking, and you're taking a liking to it. Like you said, it ties back into your family. So after CTC,
Yep.
you're looking for a job locally. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So right after high school, again, it kind of was just, especially at that time, everyone still had that mindset, you got to go to college, That was kind of tricky for me as well, because I was also had this mindset, well, in this field, a lot of times you can, learn on the job, kind of like apprenticeship. Again, I really wasn't into the whole 4-year university gig, just kind of not for me. So I ended up attending the restaurant school at Walnut Hill College, which is in Philadelphia, and was planning on just going for a 2-year associate's degree in restaurant, baking, pastry arts, and started there. Just came to find out the school was just not a great fit for me. Not bashing them in any way, just, again, some places just aren't for everyone. It was a really tricky situation because I am not one to quit things halfway through or anything like that. So I really felt like I was going to disappoint a lot of people and myself, and thought that it would just be the easy way out. So that was a very tough decision for me, but I did end up transferring and went to attend YTI in Lancaster for their baking and pastry program. This was just a more of like a certificate program, 1.5 year type deal. I originally felt like I was kind of taking a step down and, not pushing myself hard enough, or, really, again, you just felt like you're kind of just giving up instead of like fighting through. But it wasn't the case. I attended there, and it ended up being a super awesome decision. I was able to go to class in the morning to the afternoon, and then I wanted to work as well. So I was lucky enough to get in at the Hollywood Casino, a part-time pastry cook position. So I'd go to school in the morning and work in the evening. And it was a great opportunity because now I'm like learning in school and on the job. And this was a very high-end, high production place. So the experience I got there while in school, I felt like, I was just getting almost more for my money because, I'm getting the best of both worlds here.
Correct.
So it was it was a lot of hours, really hard work, but I'm really glad, I stuck it out.
Yeah.
And ended up just staying there to do my externship then at school at the end. I stayed at Hollywood, so...
I would say, and to kind of go back a little bit, I didn't want to cut you off.
Yep, you're good.
You're on a roll, and I didn't want to cut you off. But to go back to where you said about feeling like you're letting people down, because I feel like that is an important point for a lot of younger people, especially high school, maybe freshman, sophomore year in college, and you kind of have that feeling, and because I think I had a similar one where it's like, okay, I'm at Kutztown, like you said, a 4-year college, and not to bash any high schools, I think they do a phenomenal job, but their counseling departments are really push the 4-year degree, and I don't think it's for everyone. So I feel like it's having that support system, but also knowing like life is short. You have to do what you love to do.
Yes.
You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to go to this 4-year school and get this degree, whatever it may be. And then sometimes you see a lot of those kids, once they get out of college, are then working a job they don't like.
Yes.
And it's like, man, they wasted all that time and all that energy and put up with that. So
that's a tough situation. I think it also, you have to realize too, you might not only find that out until you do give something a try as well. And it's okay if you get halfway and you realize, okay, this isn't my jam.
Exactly.
So,
you can change course at any time, I think, really, for sure. So now you're going to school, but you're also, excuse me, I just knocked, there's cupcakes on the table and I hit them with my hand.
Yeah, just wanted to eat one a while.
I know, I was trying to open them up for the listeners that might have heard that. But so you're at Hollywood Casino.
Yeah.
I've been there, of course, gambling and betting on horses and things, but I've never seen like the back end of that. So I imagine it's very kind of like a high octane, kind of quick pace.
Yes, very much so. Always, the casino never closes, and there's always some food outlet open 24/7. So as far as the bake shop, we were responsible for providing all the pastries and bread products, pizza, soft pretzels, things like that, for all of the restaurants. So I mean, you had your very nice sit down high-end steakhouse to your sports bar, pubs, and casual dining pizza places and coffee shops. So it was cool, the bake shop, we had a little bit of everything everywhere.
Yeah.
But it was a lot to manage, and what a great experience overall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I remember a couple times, my wife and I or some friends would go up and I get those, I think it was like just a large chocolate chip cookie, and I'm like, man, these are so good. And now it's like, oh man, Sadie might have had a hand in that back then.
Yeah.
So it was, like you say, it's a very mental, physically demanding job. It's pretty
Absolutely.
tough. Was it a lot of hours?
Oh,
they're
yeah.
open, like you said, 24/7?
Exactly, 24/7. I think our earliest shift used to start at like 5 a.m. We made a lot from scratch, so breakfast pastries to the pizza dough and soft pretzels. And as far as physically demanding, I mean, we were throwing like 200 pounds of flour into the pizza mixer once a day. So it was definitely, you had to be in decent shape.
Yeah, yeah.
Even it's funny to think, most people think, oh, you're a baker, you're just making 24 cupcakes at a time. That's not always the case.
Right.
But
yeah. And you have to put out that number, because I imagine there's certain, maybe a quota you had to hit or a quantity.
Yeah.
For Hollywood Casino. So, that maybe over time got a little numbing, a little too much, and you were looking for a change.
It did. It kind of, just mentally, physically, I was feeling a bit drained. I did continue. So I think I ended up there around 3-4 years. I was lucky enough to further my career there as I started as a pastry cook. I advanced to lead pastry cook and then the assistant pastry chef, which I really did enjoy. I loved kind of being the middleman almost. I would say I always had some leadership skills, even just growing up in my life. It was really cool to flourish in that role in the career now that I was in. So it was great overall. Again, a really good learning experience. I still loved the pastry arts side, of it as well. But it just was becoming a little bit too demanding on my life. I'm realizing, okay, these hours, the mental and physical stress that's coming along with this I don't know if this is really what I want out of life. I really realized I was missing a lot of family events. I didn't have many friends anymore. I didn't keep up with anyone or anything. And I just started to realize that, okay, everyone's out and about, having fun doing their hobbies and going on trips and spending holidays with families. And I lost that. And that's something that is important to me. So again, tough decision. I felt, okay, if I leave, I'm pretty much wasting everything that I've already worked towards, advancing my career, because again, the pressure of your surroundings and the way society makes you feel like you have to, just do nothing but continue to grow in your career path. And, you want to make it to the top. You want to get that, executive position. For me, that was my mindset back then as well. Chase the money, chase the career titles and such. So when I realized I was becoming a little unhappy, I really needed to dig deep and find out what I really wanted. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I did leave Hollywood for a short time and went to Elizabethtown College, got a pastry position there. That was a more steady, set schedule, like a 7 to 3, 7 to 4, and a little less demanding overall. So I did enjoy that. I had like every other weekend off, most holidays off. So it was something that I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then lo and behold, I got a call from Hollywood one day again, and was offered the discussion of the executive pastry chef position, which again was something I always thought that was what I wanted to work towards.
Because it's that title, and it probably comes with a larger payment, of course. So you're like, oh, this is great. It's what I'm looking for, what I've been working for. Yeah. So, but I'm assuming not.
Yeah, it was like, it was a 50-50 thing. Like I I don't want to go back to that lifestyle, but again, that was always the goal. So, I'm not a failure. I can do this, So I did it, and grateful I did. Everything I've gone through, again, made me who I am today. And at the end of the day, it was a great learning experience, not only just in the pastry field, but personally, I learned a lot about myself. I only stuck that out maybe not even a year till I realized this life is not for me. Not as much as the passion of baking and pastry, but just the executive role, managing a large, I wouldn't say company, but as far as just the kitchen and everything we were responsible for and the staff, while always, like everyone being short-staffed and you're in charge, and it was just...
It all kind of comes down to you.
Yes.
It's like you're the final line of defense, whether it's good or bad, or if somebody can't make it in. Hey, Sadie, you got to stay longer, you got to help out or fill that
definitely.
position. So I could see how that could be very stressful.
Yeah, and then even just in that role, having to take on more office work and, the paperwork side of it was just not my forte. I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something that comes easy to me as far as like computer work, and just I'm such a kitchen hands-on girl.
You're creative.
And,
you're creative. I can tell. You have that creative mindset.
So that's where I really seemed to flourish, and I was realizing, okay, again, learning about myself, this might not be what I want. At this time, well, the past, during that whole transition and the past few years, I always dabbled into custom cakes on the side for friends, family, just kind of I would just post pictures on my personal Facebook, and it's slowly, one message after another. Do you do cakes? You make cakes? And I'm like, well, I could try. I don't have all the time in the world because I was working so many hours in my other position. Once again, I came to the realization, this executive position is not for me. What am I going to do? I really need something different. I need to put my mental health first. I want to put life first and take advantage of what I want. That's when I realized, okay, I want to work for myself. Even though I did always have that little mindset, but I also never thought that I would want to just do cakes because I did such a variety at Hollywood and enjoyed that. And also my mind is like, I can't have the same thing every day. I'll just, I love something different every day. Just accepting the fact that I would just be making cakes just almost sounded boring to me. I was a little nervous about it, but again, I was so unhappy at this time. I just said, screw it. I'm going to figure it out one way or another.
Yeah.
So
this was about when, so you're, you're kind of realizing, okay, the corporate, this isn't for me. I want to do my own thing, which is a huge leap. It's a big step. What time frame was this about when you said, I'm going to go into business and start my own?
It's probably now like 3 years ago. This was probably a year before COVID. So that would probably be 3, time frame, right?
Yeah, yep. I'm not good at math, but that sounds about right.
I left there and didn't have a job. Scary, again, that's
right?
not me. I don't, you don't leave somewhere until you have a job, but I did. I was dedicated on starting this cake business, but that also I knew wasn't just gonna take off overnight. So I dedicated myself to also just pick up a part-time job, trying to figure out, okay, what else do I want? What else do I love in life or something? Because I didn't want to go back to a bakery job. I already did that. I ended up finding a part-time dog daycare and training center in position in Elizabethtown, and that just sounded super awesome. Obviously, we talked about ribeye in the beginning. I love dogs. That I usually am around dogs more than people most of the time. So I took this part-time position at a dog daycare and absolutely loved it. I mean, there was like 80 dogs there a day, and we're just dog sitters for the day. So it was super cool.
It's a great job.
So learned a lot, dog training and behavioral things like that. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do something else now too. I'm just going to be a dog walker. So I got online and created this profile to walk dogs. And I'm like, oh, this is just going to, I'll just do a couple walks per day or something maybe. oddly enough, that like took off also. Yeah, people really, really put their dogs first these days.
Yes.
So I ended up getting a lot of clients that worked, at hospitals and such, 14-hour days. So they'd hire me to stop in the afternoon and walk their dog for 30 minutes. And I ended up at one point having like 6 walks per day. So
Wow.
here I am trying to work on cakes in the morning, go to the dog daycare in the afternoon, do some walks on the way home, and then go back home and bake. So that,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a weird balance.
Yeah, for sure. 2 things it seems like you're very passionate about from the little time I've got to know you. Definitely puppy dogs and cakes.
Oh, yeah.
And where do you think that passion for both, really stems from?
I don't know. I think just growing up, I was always, like we mentioned, I was creative. I was outgoing, and the animals was always my thing. I was obsessed with 101 Dalmatians. I had dog stuffed animals everywhere. So that was just like a no-brainer. The dogs were always my love. I would dog sit for family and friends. Just always felt good around. I feel, who doesn't feel good around dogs,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And here I am, just left the corporate world. I was sick of people, didn't want to be around people anymore.
Exactly. Want a
So
break.
what the heck if I can make this work? And the cakes, total sugar addict, and also something I can be creative with. So somehow I just found 2 of my passions and figured them out to make a living off of.
When you got started in baking, you had mentioned, I think it was your grandmother and your great grandma. That's where you would say you learned baking like 101?
Yes, more like home baked goods. That's kind of
Okay.
where it started. Apple crisp and
Oh, yes.
German chocolate cake, all those like real good feel good desserts.
Yep.
And then it just really took off once I went to CTC and worked with Brian Peffley, amazing in all the pastry aspects and cakes. And
Shout out Brian Peffley.
yes, he's the man.
Yeah.
And Chef Coral, he's the culinary side there too. Awesome. They run an amazing program and highly recommend it to anyone who has absolutely no idea what they want to do in high school or after, or even if you have like a little bit of, pastry or culinary interest, check it out. Totally
Awesome.
worth it.
Yeah, so you're wearing your custom shirt today.
Yeah.
For Sweet Sadie's Custom Cakes. How did that name come about? Who helped you create it, or was it all you?
Yeah, no. Pretty much my family and I. So this was before I actually left Hollywood and decided to work for myself. When I was just kind of starting to do cakes on the side, I needed a name, So previously, me and my family just spitballing. I was Sweet Sadie's Cakes and Bakes.
Okay.
So, and I remember now, the whole Sweet Sadie came about. I remember growing up when I was younger, my grandpa used to say Sadie cake. He used to call me like Sadie cake or Sadie cakes, something like that. So that's kind of where it started with the Sadie and the cakes. And then, yeah, Sweet Sadie, somehow somebody must have said it or it just happened. And obviously it's just perfect. So it started as Sweet Sadie's Cakes and Bakes. Then as I progressed, I finally now realize I was focusing more on cakes and not so much other like baked goods.
Yeah.
The name just wasn't fitting as well anymore. So again, back to the drawing board. Usually my family and I kind of sit down, just brainstormed and realized, okay, what I'm focusing on is custom cakes. So why not just kind of switch things around a little bit, keep Sweet Sadie's, because that's like such a, headliner there.
Is. It grabs you. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah.
And then the custom cakes, boom, you know what I offer in the name. And I don't really dabble into baked goods anymore as far as, cookies, brownies, things like that. So this was just more straight to the point. Sweet Sadie's Custom Cakes. Although I do cupcakes as well, but
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So now you have your own business. My wife and I will watch some of these Food Network channels and all these different bakers. And if she was here talking right now, she'd name them all out. I'm not going to try because I don't know. But for yourself, are there any famous bakers or decorators that you look up to or kind of?
I honestly wouldn't say anybody specific. I never, to be honest, I probably should. I've never really dove too deep into any history or super crazy pastry books or anything, because now, of course, this generation is just like scrolling on Instagram, but they have everything. And now I follow so many different amazing cake artists. I could not tell you half of their names because, there's just so many. But yeah, that's usually where I'll find myself getting creative ideas and just inspiration. It's just amazing, the different things people create, and you can really find it all in one place. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, even, that was kind of back in the day. Now it almost feels like, but so I wouldn't say I have like any super specific people I look up to. Now it's just so many people are talented and different styles, so
sure.
It's cool.
For sure. What comes to mind, it just hit me. I think it's Buddy.
Buddy the Cake Boss.
In Hoboken or something
yes.
like that. Yeah.
I
The Cake
did
Boss.
look up to him before. Previously, he was super popular kind of when I started, even in like a senior year of high school, and after that. And people still to this day like, oh, you could go work for Buddy. I'm like, yeah,
Heck
sure.
No, you're Buddy's competitor. Let's go. You don't want to work for him.
But the mechanical cakes and such, I've never really dabbled into that.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
A little wild.
Some of that stuff is crazy that they pull off. And the weight of some of those cakes, how large they are.
It's amazing.
It's like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, do you prefer to bake cupcakes or cake? Which I know you do a lot more cakes, it sounds like, but yet, which do you prefer?
I don't know. So favorite questions are super hard for me. I like a little bit of everything. I like variety. I like switching things up. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Cakes, you can definitely get, at least in my opinion, I can get more creative with, and obviously more surface area to get things on and create with. So cakes are fun. Cupcakes, though, always a good alternative. I even suggest people like, why don't we do a smaller cake and cupcakes and, make a whole little setup with it. So I don't know. They're both fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about this one? Is there a certain cake that you've made in the past that you wouldn't do again? Anything tricky in particular?
Okay, yes. Actually,
like that? Yeah.
So as far as decorating, realism is not, I wouldn't say that's my jam. So I had a client who wanted me to sculpt their dog for their cake. Like, and
Whoa.
This is like a very amazing looking dog. It's a Mastiff and super hairy, super beautiful, majestic, lion-esque looking dog. This was actually a dog client I had at the dog daycare. Okay. So how am I supposed to say no to this?
Right.
So I took it on because back then also I never said no to anything, which I am learning. You can, it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I took it on and I sculpted this dog out of Rice Krispie treat, some buttercream and fondant. Thank gosh, it worked, and the client was super happy. I just felt my nerve because, I'm a perfectionist. It was my first time doing something like that, and the pressure was just on, and the whole time I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, sweating bullets kind of. Yeah, it's a big undertaking.
If this doesn't look like this dog, it's an issue.
Right, yeah. Well, that's great that it worked out.
I'm not sure I would get back into sculpting figurines or people or specific animals or people's dogs. No, it was hard.
That makes sense. It's because you almost have to hit it perfect or but that's great. It worked out for you in that case, and maybe just put that on the back burner for now. It could be an option, but let's just put it on the back burner. So, of course, I connected you on Instagram, and I saw, because this kind of blew my mind, I was like, what is this all about? You have a nickname, Killer Queen of Cakes. How did that come about? I assume it's connected with the Queen song, Killer Queen.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how that happened, I had the opportunity to do a beer and cake collab with Snitz Creek Brewery in Lebanon. In the midst of this, I needed to come up, with my little slogan, such you would say, for the label on the beer. Again, back to the drawing board. My one friend, shout out Sam Diaz, who is also has been helpful with graphic designing and photography, videography for me and my business. We were listening to Queen and Killer Queen in the midst of him helping me create this graphic design label for the beer. It was like, wait, Killer Queen of Cake, craft beer. Somehow, we're just spitballing. He ended up creating, you'll see it if you're ever on my Instagram, the Killer Queen logo. We totally just kind of meshed up and added some cakes and cupcakes. It just was perfect because I love Queen and Killer Queen of Cakes. I mean, come on. Yeah, so that's how that happened with the craft beer, Killer Queen of Cakes craft beer series line. Now I'm just, throwing it out anywhere I can.
Yeah, that was down at Snitz Creek Brewery, just right down the road from Colortech here. So that's awesome, anytime. Mm-hmm. So shout out to them. Supporting local business is huge. And so now, that's right.
The craft beer.
So yeah, the craft beer. Have you gone to or I saw on Instagram or social media that you were at Rising Sun?
Yeah.
How was that?
That was a super cool event. This was the second time now that they have actually hosted it, and I was able to attend. It was a local artist night at the Rising Sun. Mainly artists, artwork, paintings, drawings, things like that, different sculptures. They set up, bring their artwork, and they had a super fun night with music, meet the artists, see their work, and then there's me setting up my little cake stand. That was cool because, again, I'm able to do the cake and beer collab with Snitz. We sent a keg over to the Rising Sun, so I had that going on. Was able to sell cupcakes, do a little cake raffle, and just get involved with the community. So that was awesome. This past event we did there, Trogs was there, and the Badorf, I met the brewer there. So I did kind of, start
dropping hints, like, hey, let's collab, let's work on something. That's awesome. That's such a neat collaboration.
Yeah.
So would you say that event was successful in, like, maybe you sold out that night, or you got more clients? Like, were people coming up to you saying, like, hey, do you have cards, or I want to place orders?
Definitely a little bit of both. I did not have many cupcakes left, which was great because, you just never know how much to prepare. So very grateful for that. And yes, I did meet a lot of new clients. I had messages after that. Oh, hey, I met you at the Rising Sun, interested in a cake, cupcakes, whatever it may be. So yeah, it was super cool to get my name out there, even in just a little bit of a different area because I am based in Lebanon. So yeah, it's only 20 minutes away, but I now have clients from Hershey, Palmyra. So it's like the little things go a long way. Yeah, for sure.
And Hershey, well known for the Hershey Kisses, Hershey chocolate. I'm sure it was a big hit. You were a big hit in that area. So now to change it up a little bit, we kind of mentioned it. It's been well over 2 years. But how did COVID affect your business, and what are the issues you're still facing now?
Yeah, that was like everyone, really unsettling. But everything worked out somehow, one way or another. I did, lose some bigger events. Obviously, a lot of weddings, took the back burner. A lot of weddings, that I had booked had canceled, and you didn't know when they were going to rebook. As far as my business, though, overall seemed to do okay because I had a lot of parties that, although they couldn't throw big birthday parties, the parents seemed to really want to get their child a super exciting cake, extravagant cake, because they felt bad they couldn't have a birthday party with a bunch of people, and friends over. The orders kept flowing in, and I kept hearing, hey, I can't have a party for my child, so we really want to get them a special cake. So thankfully things worked out. I stayed busy, and eventually clients I had, for weddings and larger events that were postponed came back and rebooked, and all worked out. I just really had to be, like everyone, kind of savvy as far as marketing and promoting, hey, you might be struggling right now, but cake is going to make you, feel a little bit better.
Exactly. So yeah, it makes life much better. So on your social media pages then, as you're, like you mentioned, wedding cakes, birthday cakes, I think I saw in there some like 30th birthday cakes.
Yep.
And just some awesome designs for the people that are listening out there. Star Wars. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I think I saw a Lilo and Stitch one.
Yep.
I mean, it just blows your mind. It's phenomenal work of art, almost more so than just a piece of cake. Just like, 'cause people might be like, oh, well, I can get a a cake anywhere. I can go down to Giant, but this is so much more than that for those people out there. So, if you're in the Lebanon area, surrounding areas, definitely recommend checking out Sweet Sadie's Custom Cakes. So now I got to ask you, what motivates you every day to wake up and bake up?
Oh, man.
See how I did that there?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, I have just been so happy. Happiness in life is something that not a lot of people, I think, find for most of their time. And I'm still so young, so I'm grateful. I'm really diving into, my personal self and finding out what makes me happy overall in my personal life and work. So finding that balance and realizing, okay, you are now working for yourself. It's on you. If this is what you like, then remembering how I felt when I had to work for someone else in a corporate job, that just comes back. And it's like PTSD, but not that bad. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'm at home and I get to just walk downstairs to my kitchen, which is, all licensed and set up and the way I need it for business. But I still have that feeling I'm home, I'm working for myself. I have this luxury almost. Why would I not work hard to keep this? It's really just an internal motivation for the freedom almost of working, being able to support myself and work for myself and be happy where I'm at.
And finding something you either love to do or really like to do is huge in life. So do you see yourself doing any future collaborations with any other breweries? Are you working on anything now that you can maybe give some secrets out that might not be known yet?
So definitely Snitz Creek and I are keeping our relationship strong. We're going to keep throwing out beer and cupcakes and different events they'll have coming up. But I also am trying to work my way into the Badorf, which is another, sorry, not the Badorf, Rotunda. Yep, Rotunda Brewing, another local brewery here in Annville. I would love to kind of get involved with them. And like I mentioned, Trogs, huge, would be awesome. But at the end of the day, I do think the cake and craft beer collab is something I'm really interested in taking more serious, because that's such a unique kind of thing.
It really is.
I mean, I love cake and beer, so it's something I support. So I'm gonna, try and make that work. Other collabs, I just fully support small businesses all around. So if you have a shop doing whatever it is you do and you want to throw an event or, whatever it may be, I am totally open and excited maybe about setting up a little, cupcake stand, support each other all around. So I'm open to many things. Yeah, just in general.
No, that's great. And I think it's a great idea to put that out there for local businesses throughout Lebanon County, maybe even Lancaster, Hershey, Reading, all those kind of places that if they want to do an event or like an open house, it'd be great to get some custom cupcakes made, whether it's their logo on it or however you can incorporate it in. Yep. I think that'd be huge and a talking point at that event, both for yourself and for the business.
Yeah.
The business themselves. So how can our listeners connect with you and follow along on your journey? And also, where can they order those delicious cakes?
Ooh, yes. So I am on Facebook and Instagram. You can search me, Sweet Sadie's Custom Cakes. You can even go on Google. Definitely, that'll give you all the information you need. You can shoot me a message on Facebook, Instagram, email, call, or there is also where you will find on all of those sites an actual online order form as well, where you can place an order, kind of give me the rundown of what you're looking for. There's a bunch of questions, super easy, user friendly, and then you will, through the whole process, work directly with me, which is something I do take pride in and appreciate your patience and support, because it really is a one-woman show right now. I am in the kitchen and I am behind the scenes, the whole way. For me, it does get to be a lot, but I take pride in that because I'm really focused on giving the clients, exactly what they want, finding out, getting their order to come to life, and working directly with them gives me that opportunity, I think, better than anything at all. Yeah, definitely just look me up online, and there's plenty of options and different ways to get a hold of me.
And your handles for Facebook and Instagram?
They're just straight up Sweet Sadie's Custom Cakes.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Before we close out, is there anything else you'd like the listeners to know?
Oh gosh, that's tricky. Not really. I'm an open book, if you just come ask me anything. I really take pride in showing you guys my true self with the business. I don't put on a front on social media. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. I'm here. I'm weird and love it. And super creative in the kitchen. I like to present myself that way online as well. Pretty easygoing and really like to work with anyone who needs cupcakes. I'm here for you.
Your motto, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Play harder, I should say. Let's get that right.
Yes.
I noticed on your social media, I think a motorcycle of some sort. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know proper terminology. I know Harley, and then there's like dirt bike and things like that. But you also are into that, it seems like a lot.
Yeah, so...
Man, wow.
I do. I have a Harley, and I just got a dirt bike as well. So I am a little adventurous. I like a thrill. Now that I am focused on making time in life to enjoy, other things besides just working, those are definitely two of my main hobbies. Yeah, so on the weekends, my free time, I try and set time aside and not focus on work. And that's just what I'll do. I snowboard in the winter and ride motorcycle in the summer. So,
wow. So a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A lot of fun, always adventurous, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Phenomenal. Well, Sadie Eisenhour on the American Grown podcast in the Colortech Creative Solutions studios. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Really appreciate it.
If you want to see more American Grown content, follow along on Facebook and Instagram. Username American Grown Podcast. If you received any value, please share this episode with friends, family, and coworkers. And lastly, subscribe and leave a review.
If you'd like to be a featured guest on the podcast, please direct message or email Austin at americangrownpod@gmail.com.